Hey y'all, and welcome back to another new video. I am so excited because I am starting a new video today, and it is all about the Order of the Phoenix. So in this first segment, I'm going to be talking about the role the Order of the Phoenix played in the first Wizarding War, and then I'm going to talk about, the role it played in the second Wizarding War, and then there'll be some other segments too. And so, yeah, definitely. Just a little housekeeping. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and that you give this video a like if you enjoy it, and definitely hit the bell notification if you want to know when I post. Be following me on all my other social medias. I'll have them linked down below. And right now, everything on my Etsy account is 70% off, guys. 70% off for the new year. I don't foresee doing a 70% off sale for a long time, so definitely get it this inexpensive while you can. And without further ado, we can jump into the new video. So the Order of the Phoenix was founded by Albus Dumbledore during Lord Voldemort's first rise to power in the 1970s. And the goal of the Order was to combat Voldemort's increasing threat and power. So this is like a secret underground resistance organization, basically. And Orders in the Ministry worked with the Order to conduct secret sudden attacks during the First War. And Dumbledore also created a secret communication method for the Order to use by inventing a way to make Patronuses speak. So that's how they sent messages to each other. And we see that a few times during the series. And at one point, the Death Eaters were only attacking Muggles and Muggle-born people, but eventually turned to also attacking those they deemed as blood traitors. So a blood traitor is anybody that is a pureblood, but I guess doesn't hate Muggles or Muggle-borns, doesn't agree with their ideology. So the Weasleys are grade A blood traitors in their in their opinion. And so this includes pretty much all the members of the Order as well. And the Order was severely outnumbered by Death Eaters. There was about 20 Death Eaters to every one member of the Order. So the Order had a lot less members than the Death Eaters did. And the Death Eaters were then, because of this outnumbering, able to kill a lot of members of the Order. So some notable ones include Fabian and Gideon Pruitt, which are Molly Weasley's brothers. They were murdered by a group of 5 Death Eaters, led by Antonin Dolohov, and I think it speaks to how talented those brothers were that it took 5 people to kill 2. Order member Caradoc Dearborn disappeared and so was presumed dead. Most members of the Bones family were murdered, except for Susan and her aunt. We see Susan in the series. And Benji Fenwick was brutally murdered, and Marlene McKinnon and her entire family were murdered by Death Eaters, including a Death Eater named Travers. But nonetheless, the Order continued to fight, and 4 members of the Order managed to defy Voldemort 3 times. So that's important. And these 4 members were Lily Potter, James Potter, Alice Longbottom, and Frank Longbottom. So if you guys want to hear a full in-depth analysis of the first Wizarding War, I have already done a series on that, on the whole timeline of the first Wizarding War. This video is more so a look at the Order's role in it, because it was highly requested for me to talk more about the Order. So I'm jumping forward a little bit now to the prophecy. And if you want to hear all about the prophecy, I have a whole YouTube video on it and on when Trelawney gave it and all that stuff. But basically the prophecy read, "The one with the power to defy the Dark Lord approaches. Born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the 7th month dies. And the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not. And either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives." So that was Sybil Trelawney's prophecy. And this could have applied to either Harry or Neville, because, the first part, born to those who have thrice defied him, both Neville's parents defied Voldemort 3 times, and both Harry's parents defied Voldemort 3 times. As the 7th month dies, both Harry and Neville are born at the end of July. And, okay, so it could have applied to either of them. And Severus Snape had overheard part of the prophecy when Trelawney was giving it to Dumbledore, and he told it to Voldemort. And Voldemort decided that it must be about Harry. And, Voldemort was sort of, sentimental and symbolic, so he decided it was Harry because Harry was a half-blood just like him, whereas Neville was a pureblood, and so he thought that that tied them together. Because Voldemort decides that it's Harry, it kind of becomes him, because remember that another part of the prophecy is he will mark him as his equal. So at least in my opinion, if he decided it was Neville, then it would have been, which I just think is really interesting to think about. So Voldemort decides he's going to kill the Potters, kill Lily and James, kill the baby. And the Potters were in hiding under the Fidelius charm. And the Fidelius charm is a very strong protection or concealment charm, but a catch of it is that there has to be a secret keeper. So one person has to know where you're hidden. And if they reveal it, the charm breaks and where you're hidden will no longer be hidden. it will be out in the open. So also around this time, Snape decides that he is going to switch sides. And I know there's going to, people have a lot of different opinions on why he did it. Some people think it was just because he was obsessed with Lily. Some people think he actually had a change of heart. Whatever you think is fine. But either way, he decides to switch sides. And so, like I said, the Fiddliest Charm requires a secret keeper. And if they tell, the hidden charm will be broken. So Dumbledore was worried that a member of the Order was acting as a spy because he was not sure if there wasn't a spy, how else were these Death Eaters finding all the members to go and kill them. So Dumbledore is pretty sure that there is a spy. So he offers to be the secret keeper. But James insisted on their best friend, Sirius Black, being their secret keeper. And everyone, including Dumbledore and Lupin, think that Sirius is the secret keeper. But Sirius was worried that it was going to be too obvious, considering James and Lily had just made Sirius, their newborn son Harry's, godfather. So Peter Pettigrew becomes the secret keeper instead. And the only people that know of this change are the four of them: Peter, Sirius, James, and Lily. Obviously, Peter was a spy for the Death Eaters, which they didn't know. And so a week after he becomes a secret keeper, he tells Voldemort where they are, thus breaking the Fiddliest Charm. And so on October 31st, 1981, Voldemort goes to their home. He immediately murders James, but he gives Lily a chance to live. Why he did this is another debated thing. For Snape, obviously, though. So, whatever. She rejects him and decides to, stand in front of Harry's crib and beg for Harry's life and say, kill me, don't kill him, he's just a baby. But Voldemort is completely heartless, so of course he kills her. And then he tries to kill Harry, and he fires the killing curse at Harry, but the love sacrifice that Lily had done put a shield around Harry, and so thus the curse kind of bounces off the shield and hits Voldemort. And this destroys his body, but because he's had Horcruxes by now, his soul lives on. And he also accidentally sends a piece of his soul into Harry, making Harry sort of a Horcrux. And after this, the Order disbands for the first time because the First World War, or the First Wizarding War, is over. And the Order and Ministry had successfully defeated Voldemort. But the Death Eaters were still considered threats. So Sirius Black tries to apprehend Peter in London because obviously he knows Peter betrayed them. But Peter fakes his own death with a blast that kills 12 muggles. He cuts off his own finger, transforms into a rat, and runs away. And so remember that not even Dumbledore or Lupin knew about the switch, so they all think that Sirius Black was the one that betrayed them. And, imagine getting this scene. They think Sirius is the secret keeper, just betrayed his friends. Peter Pettigrew's finger is lying there, and there's 12 dead muggles, and the only person standing there is Sirius. So obviously, they all think it was him, sent him to Azkaban without a trial. And other real Death Eaters were captured and also sent to Azkaban. So some of the Death Eaters that were sent to Azkaban included Travers, Mulciber, and the three that murdered the Bones family. And after Voldemort's defeat, Bellatrix Lestrange, Rabastin Lestrange, Rodolphus Lestrange, and Barty Crouch Jr. attack Frank and Alice Longbottom. And for some reason, they think that Frank and Alice know what happened to Voldemort. They know something about his whereabouts because they don't believe he's dead. Which I'm not sure why they thought Frank and Alice knew something and Frank and Alice didn't. So they're torturing them with the Cruciatus Curse, and basically they torture them to insanity. And obviously they go to Azkaban for this. And others were turned in by Death Eater Igor Karkaroff, who gave information in exchange for a lesser sentence. And other Death Eaters, such as Lucius Malfoy, evaded prison by claiming to be under the Imperious Curse. So Albus and Snape were both convinced that Voldemort would return one day. So they knew that Harry needed to be protected. And so they, had different Order members, such as Arabella Figg, for example, the neighbors of the Dursleys, keep an eye out on him throughout his childhood. And aside from this, though, the Order was disbanded because there was no longer a threat presently. So that was basically the Order's role during the First Wizarding War, and so that is where I'm going to end this video. And if you want to hear a more in-depth look at, the Order's role in the Second Wizarding War, which I understand that, that's in the book series, but I maybe have some extra little information or just put it in a nice timeline, come back in a few days. And until then, bye y'all.